The issue with Hearts of Iron 3 was that you could save enough resources by the time the war began that you would never run out as Germany. Yes, that is a problem. It's too easy to do because you know the war is coming. I mean, one way around it would be to limit your stockpiles, so you actually have to invest in building stockpiles, which is something you didn't have to do in 3. Like, actually building warehouses, and making those warehouses vulnerable. Like in here we have fuel silos, which are a buildable building. These guys. And I really should think about building 1 or 2 of these. Let's put them in groups, so... Let's do that. Actually, let's prioritize you. Not ahead of the civilians. Let's reduce you to a 4 instead of an 8. That gives us more space for other things. In fact, even better... Malia Romagna. It's pretty... well, no. Yeah, it's fairly defensible. I think Abruzzo is actually more defensible, though. We'll keep it like that. This is fine.
Pronto.
So how is this war going for the Spanish? I would say that the Spanish are winning. Let's get speed 4. Nothing really happening that we need to micro particularly. And I'm going to say that your planning preparation is good enough. Launch an offensive again. Let's see if we can do some more damage. Like, these guys are very low on strength now. Once the tanks actually join the fray, they should be good. And we have enough where we can now change you to motorized infantry. Save. And then after this, what we're going to want to do is motorized artillery times 2, which will bring us up to 20 combat width. And that'll give them the attack to actually really do some damage. I wish you could control supply lines on land. How so? Warehouses should be made invulnerable to terrain like what Norway has. Alright, so tanks are now actually pushing here, which is great. I think we can just continue to push this advantage and just push onwards. We're about to take Verona. Easy. And actually that's just finished your objective, so I'm going to say let's go and have you attack this. Go. Oh, you're being attacked. I really want these guys to assist this attack so we can cut them off and kill these 5. Now, one thing we should notice is I have just manually given this order. Watch what happens to this planning preparation. So he's currently on 17%, this guy's on 26%. You would think that this will sink down to like 9% by the time this guy runs out. It won't. This will still be on like 25 by the time this runs out. Boom. One thing which I really dislike about one of the recent changes is if you give a manual order, your planning preparation just disappears. I think it goes down 8 times faster than if you do it automatically. And unfortunately, this is just Paradox trying to get around terrible AI. Because the AI just can't cope with players giving manual orders. Is there an advantage for building templates horizontally rather than vertically? Not really. I usually do it vertically, it's just that the AI template, or the starting template was already kind of horizontal. Alright, so now we have taken the last town, which was in this area, the last victory point, which means these are all unsupplied. So in time, their organization will just hit 0 automatically and they'll just die. So it is just a matter of time for us to just wipe this out. So we're going to assign them to 3 different provinces so that we can get attacks going in multiple directions, and we're just going to go and finish them off. Italian highway is finished. Excellent. Let's go and start prospecting for oil, which will add an oil supply insert. Old empires always fear new ones on the rise, and we should not depend on them. We cannot rely on oil from other nations and should focus our efforts on finding our own source within the empire. This is how we make sure to stay competitive far into the future. And then we can do a little bit more production. What are we low on? Just artillery. Okay, let's start producing some more artillery. We have 3 more tank divisions coming through. I think I want to start training a couple more just regular infantry. So let's start that going.
Comandi.
Have I explained support attack mechanic? No, I haven't. That's a good point. As soon as we actually start an attack, so once we have planning prep done, let's do a staff office plan so we get our planning prep nice and quick. The less units you have in an army, the cheaper the staff office plan is. So for these 3 units, it's only 2.5 power cost. So there's no real reason not to do this. So let's do the attack. Okay, let's click on an infantry battle, or a regular battle. The first thing to notice is this number here. That's the combat width totally involved right now. If you're just doing 1 province versus 1 province, the attack combat width is 80, which means you can get 4 20 combat widths, or 2 40 combat widths, or if you're really, really brave, 1 80 combat width unit in the battle at a time. Any others will be in the reserves and will be cycled in as and when organization or strength runs out. The speed that they filter in is based on your reinforcement speed, so having, for example, radio is very, 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 very important, because that increases your reinforce rate by 5%, which means you cycle troops into battles over time more quickly. So particularly if you're fighting with 10 combat width units, you want a high reinforce rate to keep your weaker units coming in. For every province attacking that single province in addition, so these are what's called supporting attacks, will increase the combat width by 40. There will also be a bonus from attacking from multiple directions. So right now, in this province, I think, yeah, this guy is attacking, and then we are supporting with this guy. So combat width here is 120, meaning that both sides can squeeze more troops in. And also we get a attack bonus because we're attacking from multiple directions. If you want to tell a unit to support yourself, you can either right-click, and they'll get a green arrow, like this, or a red arrow rather, and they'll just attack it. They will also be considered moving in. So once we win this battle, this unit will just go charging into that province, and will take it. You can also do what's called an actual supporting attack, which is what this guy is doing, which is why he has the little sword. You can do that, the blue arrow, by holding down control, and then right-clicking. That means he will help the attack, but he will not actually move into the tile afterwards. Unfortunately, doing support attacks also reduces your planning preparation, so where possible, I just let the AI do it. But if you really want to have multiple zones attacking one area, then manually doing that a bit can be very helpful. Particularly if you're mobile warfare, because you recover planning preparation so much quicker that pausing, recovering, attacking, pausing, recovering, attacking is a lot more effective, whereas if you're doing grand battle plan, you can't micro. Because you're entirely reliant on just having these massive amounts of planning preparation, and it takes a long time to regain. Okay, so we just researched our heavy fighters. We are already doing all of the 1937 technologies. I think it is now time to get the radio. We could also get the more advanced tanks. Do I want to wait until we get the tank research? We're going to be stuck with these for 5 years effectively, because the next light tank's not until 41. So yeah, I think we want to wait until tank research design group is done. There's rule 37. We could also get field hospitals. You know what? Let's start researching field hospitals now, so we can start to add those to our infantry units. T. Curses. It is a dark day in Spain today. For Mordred has run out of tea. However, Mordred does have another military factory. I am going to start building some heavy fighters too. And I'm going to say I want 2 factories on that. So tactical bombers are going to be my most used aircraft. We will have fighters and close air support as well, but the heavy aircraft we want at sea. With tank research, are the specialised variants like tank destroyer, mobile artillery, mobile AA actually worth it? I mean, tank destroyers are worth it, they are very good. Mobile artillery have kind of lost a little bit of their luster now that you can get motorised artillery. Before that, mobile artillery were fantastic. Mobile AA, never actually used them. They're too expensive. You will be able to make it to the multiplayer on Sunday. Awesome, Charles. Wonder why EA has started putting new games on Steam again. Probably because Steam came up with some kind of deal with them. Much the same way as Epic has. Like, Steam's probably realised, oh, there's somebody actually trying to put us out of business. Should probably do something about that. It's about time. So how many losses have they suffered now? 103,000 for the Republicans, 89,000 for the Nationalists. Republicans are definitely losing a lot of ground. I think once we are done with Barcelona, I'll move the tanks to here and try to push for another border with Madrid. Maybe even attack here to take the airbase. Yeah, between these 2 tiles and then take the airbase, that's probably what I'll do. Need to crush these guys first. I mean, this is a lot of divisions. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 divisions stuck up here. Plus whatever's in there. Are we going to rush Yugoslavia or track the historic path? Haven't decided yet. I want to make sure that we get our industry and stuff done first of all. Okay, we've pushed in another province. We are going to be taking that pretty soon, I think. Although my units are not doing the best job in assisting. That's a fairly suicidal attack. Could you, like, not do that, please? Let's move you over here so you can actually support these assaults. The Chinese United Front forms. Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong have issued a joint announcement declaring that they have set aside their differences in the face of Japanese attack. Both sides will observe a strict policy of non-aggression against each other for as long as the war against Japan lasts, and have vowed to do everything in their power to throw back the invader. A number of smaller warlords have also declared their support, putting their forces under the command of Chiang Kai-shek. Whether that long-time enemies of the Chinese Civil War will actually work together remains to be seen, and many experts believe that this will do little more than delay the inevitable defeat of China. But the war against China hasn't actually started yet. That's funny. Hindenburg incident. Disaster was narrowly averted today when a diesel fuel leak was discovered on the German passenger airship Hindenburg as it came into dock at the Lakehurst Naval Air Station in the United States. The leak was promptly repaired. Had it gone unnoticed, flammable vapour could have resulted in a fire that would have engulfed the entire airship. Critics have long questioned the wisdom of passenger airships given their spotty safety records, and this incident is bound to make them even more vocal. Close call. Do I think Steam is dying? No. But I think that Epic's going the right way to create a viable competitor. US Congress passes the Neutrality Act. With tensions rising around the globe, the US Congress has been the scene of some intense discussions about the role the United States should play on the world stage. Many members are concerned that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt might secretly be planning to intervene in a European or Asian war. Some still remember the role of the country played in the Great War and are anxious to keep the United States out of foreign entanglements. Eager to shore up support for his proposed programs of economic reform, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt has signed the Neutrality Act into law, which places heavy restrictions on trade with nations at war and specifically prohibits the president from offering any kind of support to other nations. Let the giants sleep. Yeah, Hindenburg's completely random. Doesn't actually have any impact. The only one that does have an impact, I think, is Amelia Earhart, because you can have Amelia sign up to the US Air Force. as a fighter race, which is pretty good.
Forza, forza!
So now we just need to keep pressure on everything. Units, as they lose organization, will just keep flipping backwards and forwards between each spot. So how am I doing for experience? Cavalry leader is at 9%. Skilled staffer is still 51. Hill fighter is now up to 9. I don't think we've gained a huge amount. Maybe some trickster. Because we are getting quite a few flank attacks going, like here. What about the Air Force? We getting much air support? Yes. Yes, we are. That air support is definitely making these attacks into the mountains possible. Shaanxi has joined the Chinese United Front. Earlier today, China and Shaanxi issued a joint statement about the latter has now been formally granted member status of the Chinese United Front. Whether this partnership will be used for offensive or defensive purposes remains to be seen, but undoubtedly extensive joint military planning is already underway. And we just got construction 2, so we should start building stuff more better. I think we need to get fuel refining and possibly synthetic oil. So fuel refining makes fuel gain per oil more efficient, and also means that any refineries you do build generate more fuel as well. Although the better way of doing that is this line. But we are not going to be able to rely on rubber or fuel imports, so we're going to be self-reliant on that. Now, I haven't actually played a game as the Axis since Fuel, so this is going to be interesting. Although I have played as the Union of Britain, and it had a big impact on that. Can I show off the templates? I can. Yes. So the Division Celere is my only division I'm really using right now. 6 motorized. We filtered out the cavalry and replaced them with trucks, motorized, and then also 1 light tank just to give it a bit of armor and a bit of hardness, which is actually what's making a lot of these attacks go rather more swimmingly than you may otherwise have expected. And if you want a more in-depth description of how the designer works, I did talk about that earlier. I thought the Hindenburg crashing affects the Holy Roman Empire run. I didn't even know that was a thing. Is that with Austria? Why would that matter? You need the Hindenburg to survive to bring the Kaiser in. Oh. Prospect for oil. Done. So we could now go for Libyan infrastructure or Libyan oil, which would give us some free synthetic refineries, and also some more oil production in Benghazi. I think we should do that. Benghazi is a perfect place for constructing refineries, close to oil sources and close to the production in the homeland. Do it. No, not the Kaiser. The Kaiser Inn, the female Kaiser. Oh, I see. Okay. I knew nothing about this path. How's this doing? Oh, they've actually taken the airbase. That's good. And they've... oh no, it's not cut off. It's possible to cut these guys off around Malaga by taking these 2 provinces. I mean, I definitely should be looking at cut-offs once this grind is done. Ah, we have our first seasoned unit, so he gains a 50% modifier in combat. Good. And our losses in this battle really haven't been huge. Alright, new construction's done, so we've got the improved machine tool, so I think I'm now going to get synthetic oil experiments, so that we can actually build synthetic refineries. And then I probably need to start doing naval doctrines. And there we go, full surround. The last of them remaining. This is going to be a huge deal for the nationalists. Big blow to the Republicans.
Attento.
Another seasoned tank. Although at this point they're motorized because they're so weighted towards motorized. Which is good, because this means that Giovanni is gaining cavalry leader instead of panzer leader. Panzer leader he can gain later when we're using medium tanks. If we do. Unfortunately, it doesn't track the participation of volunteers in wars. I'd be kind of intrigued to see just how much damage we ourselves have done. Okay, so we can do another upgrade. So we could get the tank designer. Could get a ship designer. How's our ship technology? So we are actually fully up to date with all the ships that are relevant to our interests at the moment. We don't have sonar, which is a bit of a problem. And we don't have smoke generators, so these are both technologies that we will want to research sooner rather than later. Okay. So, no point building a ship designer. Could do the industrial concern, although that's not now going to take an impact until 39. We could do the Grand Fleet proponent. Save up to 250. Yeah, because that will give us the doctrine research bonus. We're going to do that. Because I really do need to get some naval doctrine stuff going for the war against Britain and France. There's a whole weird event chain that was put into Germany in Wake of the Tiger that ends up with Victoria Louise becoming the Kaiserin and being able to create the HRE and create a ton of territory in Austria and Switzerland. But the event chain relies on Hindenburg not blowing up. Oh, okay. My designers are terrible. All designers are terrible in vanilla. That's one of the things I love about Kaiserreich. Right, let's see. Do I want to go straight for the jugular and take out Madrid? Or do I want this war going on for a bit? And in fact, I can edit you and add motorized artillery, which is going to significantly increase your damage output. Do it. And we just got delay. Excellent. We're now more defensive. Mobile defense. All infantry, motorized, mechanized, plus 20% defense. Do it.
Si, signore.
Yeah, try to cut them off here. It's possible. Problem is, that kind of abuses one of the mechanics in this game I hate. Which is if you surround their capital, then all of this is out of supply. Although that's... No, that's actually legit. It's not something I've just gone for. And let's use the river to our benefit here. Wow, both survived. Amelia Earhart circumnavigates the globe. The famous aviator Amelia Earhart, known to many as the Queen of the Air, has completed a flight around the world together with her navigator, Fred Noonan. After a brief scare with the pair temporarily got lost while approaching Howland Island in the Pacific, the flight proceeded without incident, and this morning their Lockheed Electra touched down in Oakland, California. A ceremony is to be held in the White House next week, where Earhart is to be personally congratulated for her feat by the President. Quite an achievement. So this is apparently the best of all possible worlds. Am I going to send troops over to Japan? We could do, actually, if we're not at war. How do you drag the arrow to choose the attack path? You use this edit mode, and then you can just left click, and you can change where the path goes. Alright, so let's make sure that we get some planning preparation, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and spend my 2.5 planning preparation again, although actually we are waiting for the artillery to arrive. Do we have artillery shortages? We do. So you're already set to high priority. Yeah, in fact, this is a good opportunity to talk about priorities. So you will notice that we have the down arrows, the mid, and then the up arrows. These determine the priority for equipment reinforcements and manpower. So if they have high priority, then they will get first dibs on any equipment before any other units. Whereas if they're set to low priority, they will have least dibs. So for example, my colonial troops are low priority right now, and in fact I should probably change their icon to be better representative and so I can actually spot them. Yeah, I think we did waste like 2.5 command power, but it's not like we are really short right now. I really want their reinforcements to get here before we launch this attack, because having the extra towed artillery will make a huge deal. Although it looks like my allies are about to lose this province. Unfortunately, they've taken a ton of damage. Republican Spain's lost 173,000, despite the fact that we've got 2 full cut-offs against them. Whereas the Nationalists have now lost 168,000. How's the manpower on either side looking? Yeah, see, they've only got about 6,000 men left. Although they're still on volunteer only, so if they can change their manpower law, then they'll be more capable. Japan declared war on China. And the leadership purges in Soviet Union. This is a bad day for humanity. Uncertainty has long reigned in the Soviet Union. While details are scarce, there are a series of secret trials at the highest level. Both generals and ministers have disappeared from the public eye. The natural assumption is that some great conspiracy has been uncovered within the Communist Party, but no official statement has been made. In addition, the diplomatic reports we have access to indicate the evidence presented at these trials has so far been indisputable. Whatever has been happening, the structure of the Soviet High Command has changed irrevocably. And Japan declared war on China. So, yes, I think I want to finish this war before we send volunteers to China. Also, no we can't. Because any volunteers which arrive in China any volunteers we send arrive in Japan. We could send them to Manchukuo, though. And if they are in Japan, you can't ship them out, because I don't think you can use ships. You know what? No, come down here. Cut that off. And this also buys us a little bit more time. The Marco Polo Bridge incident. Japanese and Chinese forces have skirmished inconclusively over the strategic Marco Polo Bridge located just southwest of Beijing. China has rejected Japan's demands for an apology. And territorial concessions, claiming instead that the breaking point of Japanese aggression has been reached. Diplomats fear that the volatile situation could result in war at any time. Zibai Sanma has joined the Chinese United Front. Earlier today, China and Zibai Sanma issued a joint statement that the latter has now been formally granted membership status of the Chinese United Front. And the same thing with Guangxi, which is good, because Guangxi is really strong, because it has tons of resources. And in fact, because we have such a big shortage of artillery, we're not going to gain the artillery we need in the tank divisions, are we? Yet. 1937. We really need to go for the naval doctrine. I'm going to go for convoy sailing for these two at the very least. Begin.
Commanding.
Go. In which world am I telling you to attack up there? You're pretty positive of success. I'd rather you were supporting an attack here. Alright, let's go and drop that. And then tell you to stop that stupidity. Come back down here and do something useful, like cut this off. There we go. That's all I wanted.